Very quickly before we begin, we do have a quick disclosure that everything we review today is strictly for educational purposes and not investment or financial advice. So we're not giving any recommendations on any trades. We're simply going over how to familiarize with the platform itself, okay? Also, just some quick housekeeping rules. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, but if you can, direct them in the Q&A section. So our team will respond to you shortly, but if you have any account-specific questions, if you can please email it to us instead, okay? So again, feel free to ask any questions throughout the session, just drop them in the Q&A section. And if you need to reference the demo at any point in the future, it is recorded. So after this video is produced, it's gonna be on our tastytrade YouTube channel, okay? But let's go ahead and get started. If you can see my screen, you're looking at the desktop platform and you're gonna be first presented with a dashboard. And this is just a quick way in the mornings to glance at the overall market conditions, because at the top, you're gonna see a chart of SPY. And then a little bit below that, you're gonna see a section for any relevant news that's coming into the market that may have some impact. And I believe it's updated on an hourly basis, and you can just click on this refresh button, and then it'll generate any new news that may have just happened, okay? On the right side, just some account details information. You're gonna see an equity curve over a certain period of time. And so you can change it from 1 day, 1 week, a month, or a year. And a little bit below that, just a little more details about your account balances and available buying power. And if we scroll down on the dashboard, you're gonna see 3 different lists here. One is just upcoming earnings that's happening. And then in the middle, we have dividend champions, essentially companies that increase their dividends consecutively for the past 25 years. And on the right side, just some fast movers that came into the market. Looks like VTGN is not doing too hot there. Now, for any reason, if you don't want to see the dashboard when you load up the platform, if you look in the bottom left corner here, there's going to be a show on startup button and a check mark that you can toggle on or off, okay? So if you don't want to see this when you launch up the platform, just left click to toggle that off. And then next time you launch up the platform, it won't be there anymore. Personally, I do like it. I'm gonna leave it checked. For now, we're just gonna minimize it, okay? And I see a question on there. If you don't see the dashboard at the moment, what you can do is go to, let me bring out the drawing tool here. Here's the arrow right here. So if you didn't see the dashboard, just click dashboard, it'll pop it back up for you, okay? Let me go ahead and clear these out. But let's actually take a look at the platform where trades are actually executed. So if you can see my screen here, it might be slightly overwhelming if it's your first time looking at it. So we're gonna try to break it down to different sections to simplify what we're looking at. So first, let's locate the top section here. Let me highlight it for you. So the account header details is going to give you your account number. You won't see it right now because we're on privacy mode. But you're going to see some performance details, such as your profit and loss for a day, profit and loss year to date, also your option and stock buying power. And then you see a trade counter and day trade counter up here as well, okay? And this is also the section where you can search for different ticker symbols. So where you see that big NVIDIA in the top there, if you left click, it's going to bring up a section for you to type in any different symbols you want to search for. So for example, on your keyboard, if you're following along, just type in maybe Apple, AAPL, hit enter, and then you will see the quotes populate for Apple at the top. Maybe you want to search for Ford, F, and you'll see that populate right there. Okay, so this section is just where you can see different ticker symbols. You can see your account numbers, just some details about your account at the top. Let me go ahead and clear this out. And next, you want to pay attention to the left side panel where you see a recent symbols and your watch list. So you probably saw those different symbols that we typed in. It is now under recent. And the benefit of having recent symbols and a watch list is if you left click on any one of these now, you will see that it changes the quotes at the top. So you don't have to keep manually typing in different ticker symbols. Once you have it under recent or within your watch list, you can click on any one of them and it will populate at the top. And we'll go into how to create a watch list shortly here, okay? Let's go ahead and clear this out. Now the center panel, let me highlight it for you as well. right here. This is probably where you're going to spend most of your time because this is where trades are going to be executed. This is where you're going to do your charting, where you review your profit and loss is going to be done right here. And if I can direct your attention to these three tabs, positions, trade, and activity, you want to familiarize the location of these three tabs because you're going to spend most of your time here as well. Okay. And directly below that, you're going to see various icons. We have a research tab here. So you can see some fundamental analysis on certain companies. Let me get rid of these arrows. So you can see news, you can see financials, analyst forecasts, information about the company. That's right here. Okay. And then charting will be done down there, and we'll get back there in just a few moments. Now, next is the right side panel. Let me highlight this section as well. Right here. This is essentially an abbreviated version of the middle panel. We're certainly going to go into a little bit more details on this towards the end, but this is, if you want to collapse this, just click on this little arrow right here. And then you will collapse that so we can focus on the main tabs at the top. Right here. So boom, it's gone. If you want to bring it back out, just click on that arrow again, it'll pop it back out. And for anyone using a secondary monitor, you can actually pop out this right side panel. There's a tiny arrow right here. And once you click there, it will bring it up, and then you can drag it to a secondary monitor and then have the main platform on your primary screen. Okay. But for now, we're just going to collapse it. Like that. Okay. Let me go ahead and clear this out. Now, it's also very important to know how to get to your settings within the platforms, because as you're going through the demo, you're going to see that we have all these different features, but you kind of want to customize it based on your own preferences, right? So what you want to do to get into the settings is locate all the various gear icons right here, here, or here. Left clicking on any one of those gear icons is going to open up the settings menu. And I think I saw someone in the chat earlier ask how we can change the light mode. So we can start with that as an example of how to customize. So let's left click on one of these gear icons. Let me clear out all these other arrows. If we want to change the light mode under modules, you want to go under general right here. So once we left click on general, you're going to see a section at the bottom where you can turn on light mode. So if we left click on this little box here, you see the background, it turns white, and you hit OK in the bottom left corner, you will see that we are now on light mode. Personally, for me, this is a little bit too bright, so I'm going to switch it back to dark mode. Okay, so to do that again, we'll click on any one of these gear icons. Make sure under modules, we go to general, uncheck this light color theme, and hit OK in the bottom left to switch back. Okay, let me get rid of these drawings. Now, let's go ahead and create a watch list, right? So by default, you're going to see right here the word watch list. And directly below that, there's a drop-down menu. If you left click here, we have all these preset watch lists already in the platform. So if you want to see what Tom's trading, we have Tom's watch list here. Crypto, dividends, earnings, whatever you're looking for, it should be here. But you probably want to create your own. And the way we do that, again, is you left click on this gear icon. Let me get rid of that arrow. And to begin creating the watch list, we want to left click on where it says list right here. Once we click on list, it'll bring us to a screen where we can create that watch list. And if you are coming from another broker and you already have a watch list you want to import, that'll be done at the bottom here. But for this example, we're just going to create a brand new one from scratch. Okay. And to do that, what we'll do is click on this green icon that says add new list. It's going to immediately ask us to type in a name. So in this second box here, let's just type in demo watch list. And then it's also going to ask us to add a symbol at the top. So maybe we want to add in Apple, AAPL. And then you'll see the results pop up. Just left click on Apple. And now you will see this icon has now turned to add Apple to demo watch list. And when we left click on there, it gives us a nice little notification that we successfully added Apple to the demo watch list. And now what we want to do to get rid of this screen is go to OK in the bottom left corner. So we're going to left click on OK. right here. All right, so to locate the watch list that we just created, we're going to go back to that drop-down menu that we found here. And you will see at the bottom, it should now say demo watch list. And there it is, Apple. But that's probably not the only ticker symbol that we want to trade. So if you want to add more symbols to it, at the bottom here, there's a search bar. And once we search for that company or ticker that we want to add, we click on the blue plus sign here to add it to it. So maybe we want to add NVIDIA. So left click on NVIDIA, hit the blue button, and there it is. Maybe we want to keep an eye out for some futures, maybe the S&P futures, add it in there. Ford. And let's do one more, maybe Tesla, for anyone who likes EVs, right there. Okay. Right now, it's not in any certain order. If you do want it in alphabetical order, all you have to do is left click on the word symbol right here, and now it will rearrange it in order from A to Z. And then you see the bid and the ask here, the different quotes, the change, the percentage change will be right here as well. And depending on your screen real estate, the watch list might be narrow or wide. If you hover your cursor in between the watch list and the center panel, you're going to see this vertical bar pop up. And if you left click, hold, and drag, you can slowly expand it or make it slightly more narrow. Okay, so depending on your screen, you can make this more wide or more narrow. And then also, you might see these little circles right here. It essentially displays how many columns you have already on your watch list and how many pages. So if I right click or left click on this right arrow, it would change it to the other headers that I have. Okay. Let me go ahead and clear this out. And depending on what you're looking for in the watch list, kind of like checking the weather, you can go back into the settings icon, and then you're going to be displayed with two columns, one for what you currently have on your columns and one for not displayed. So depending on what you're looking for, you can drag over from the not displayed column over to the displayed. So maybe we want to see the earnings, maybe dividends, maybe the market cap of the companies, okay? And if you want to rearrange it, just left click, hold, and drag it and move it up or down where you want to see it. And again, if you want to remove it, just bring it back over to the not displayed column, or you can click on these little 6 dots and it will remove it. And you can add it back by doing the same thing by clicking on those 6 dots as well. Okay. But once you have what you like, just hit OK in the bottom left again. And now you can see that there's more pages added to the watch list. So we click on the right arrow, you see that, okay, there's the earnings. Here's the dividend dates. Here's the market cap. So completely customizable depending on what you're looking for. Okay. Let's go ahead and get rid of these drawings. Now, if you want to remove any symbols off of your watch list, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is maybe we don't want to trade NVIDIA anymore. We're going to right click on it and you will see a remove function. And then boom, it's gone. Okay. Well, let's add it back for now. We'll type in NVIDIA at the bottom and then hit the blue arrow and it's back. Okay. So now that we figure out our watch list and we know what we want to keep an eye out for in the market, let's just do some quick analysis in the charts. And the way you get to the charts is this icon right here. It's below positions trading activity. If you left click on this icon, it will take you to our charts right there. Let me get rid of that arrow. And one more cool feature about having a recent symbols and watch list. Earlier, when we left click on them, we saw that it changed the quotes at the top. And same thing for the charts. So if we left click on any one of these, you're going to see the charts change for that specific underlying. So here's a daily chart of Tesla. If we now left click on NVIDIA, it changes the chart accordingly. Okay. So maybe let's just look at Ford for right now. So at the top here, let me highlight this section. So you can see all the different tools that we have in the chart features right here. So the very first box you're going to see is a indicators library. Once we left click on the indicators library, you can scroll through, see which indicators you're looking for. We have a lot. And let's just add a couple in there as an example, okay? So maybe we want some moving averages on here. Let's add a simple moving average, SMA. So once I type in SMA as a keyword it pops up anything that's relevant. And it looks like directly in the middle there, you can see SMA. So I left click on SMA, and then what I'm going to do at the bottom here is hit add selected. Whoops. Let's do that one more time. Add selected. Let's just add one more. So we want one fast one and one slow one, maybe for a mean reversion play. So let's change the first one. You can adjust the parameters at the bottom. So at right now, this is a 9-day moving average. If you want it to be 50 or 100, you probably don't want to use these arrows to click it 50 times to get a 50-day moving average. What you can do is highlight that number and type in 50 on your keyboard and hit enter, and that will adjust it to a 50-day moving average. Okay, so those arrows are there to help you, but if it's such a large number, you probably just want to type it in. For now, let's make this an 8-day moving average. And then I don't like the color that's showing there, so I'm going to go over to style. And then you'll see a box here at the bottom where you can left click. It'll bring up a rainbow that you can change the colors to. So maybe my 8-day moving average, I want it to be a darker blue. And then the width is only 1, so that line is very thin. So maybe I want it to be a little bit thicker. So I'm going to change it to 3. So now we have a nice thick blue line. I'm going to go back to the second moving average that I put and maybe change this one to 21. So there it is. I'm going to go back into style. Maybe give this one a red color so I can differentiate between the two. And the width, again, let's make it 3. So it's nice and thick. Okay. So now we have 2 moving averages on our charts. And let's also add an oscillator on here because it still looks kind of plain. Let's go back into the indicators. Maybe you want to add a MACD, RSI, whatever you want to add in there. It should be within the indicators library. Maybe let's add a squeeze in here. Boom, there it is. Okay. So right now you have the chart at the top and you have the subgraph of the oscillator at the bottom, but it's taking up half of the screen. So you probably want to see more of the candles and less of the oscillator. The way to do that is if you see this horizontal bar, it might be difficult to see because in light gray, but this horizontal bar in the middle, if you left click, hold and drag, you can actually move this down to make it less taking up space on the main chart itself. Unless you like it, you can bring it back up. Personally, for me, I like to keep it slightly low so I can focus on the main graph itself. Okay. Now, this is currently a daily chart and a look back period is year to date. So you can certainly adjust the timeframes here. If anyone here is a day trader and you want to switch to a smaller time frame, you can left click on this drop down menu right here. And if you scroll, you can see all the different timeframes that we have. So for example, maybe we want a 5-minute chart. And then the look back period, maybe we just want for today. So there's not that many candles. Okay. So now we're looking at a 5-minute, 1-day chart on Ford. And if you want to scroll to go back on any candles, if you're using a mouse with a scroll wheel, you can move it up and down and you can see the chart kind of slowly expanding or narrowing. Or you can go here. There's a scroll here as well. You can move it left and right as well. Okay. So I'm not sure if you're using a mouse. If not, you can left click, hold and drag this back and forth. And then once you have all your chart into all the indicators that you want on the chart, you can also save it just in case if the platform ever updates or you don't want to lose your settings and add all the indicators back, you can hit save right here and that will save the charts. Okay. You can get rid of these drawings. And then let's just go to the next box here. Let me get the arrow. So this drop-down menu is pretty cool. Right now we're on traditional candlesticks, but if you want to look at Heikin-Ashi candles, let me get rid of this arrow here. If you want to change it to a line graph or change it to Heikin-Ashi candles, we certainly offer all of that here. And you can adjust it however you want it. So here's the line graph right there. But for now, I'm gonna leave it on traditional candlesticks, okay? Now in the middle, you're also gonna see a gear icon, and this is the chart settings. So very similar to what we saw before. If you left click on this gear icon, you can customize how you want your charts. For example, if you go to themes, you can change the background color. You can even change the candlestick colors if you like. This is all customizable, okay? Let me get rid of this window. And also let me change the time frame back to a daily. and a year-to-date look-back period. Okay, so as I'm hovering my cursor over each one of these candles, you probably see these little boxes pop up. It lets us know where the candle opened, the high of the day, low, and the close. And when you're scrolling through, it might cover up some of the candles that you're looking for. And that's when this drop-down menu comes into play. You can change on where you want to see these little notifications. So if you want it just to stay in the left side panel here, you can select this option. And now when I'm hovering my cursor over each one of these candles, is not covering anything up. It's just on the left side here. So that's completely customizable as well. Okay. And then we also have various drawing tools right here. So when you left click on this drop-down menu, you're going to see that we have price lines, trend lines, Fibonacci retracements, whatever you're looking for, it should be found here. So for example, let's just draw a price line for Ford. So I selected price line, and then maybe I want it right at this gap right here. And so once I create the price line, you can change the color of it as well. You can give it a name if you want to. Maybe you want to type it as a gap, and then just exit out of that menu. And once you click on that price line, you will see that the price level it gives us to us at 14.67. Okay. If you drew that by accident or just want to get rid of any old price lines, there's a couple ways to do this. If you right click anywhere in your charts, you can hit remove drawings. But if you have different drawings on here and some you want to keep and some you want to remove, you probably don't want to do it this way. You just want to double click on that price line that you created. So double click anywhere in the price line, this menu pops back up, and then you can hit remove drawing in the bottom right corner, and then boom, there it's gone. Okay. The next thing I want to show you is for anyone who's a little bit more advanced, or you just want to do multi-time frame analysis, or just view multiple underlyings at once, you can locate this icon directly below the charts. This will take you to something called tastycharts. Let me get rid of this big arrow. So this is how you can see multiple underlyings at once, or maybe you want, let me change this to Ford again for us. Maybe you want this one to be on a daily time frame, and then maybe you want this one to be an intraday, maybe at 30 minutes. So now you have one a daily chart and one is a 30-minute time frame. Okay. And another cool feature about navigating to the tastycharts is if you look at this little arrow here, you can actually left click on it and it will pop out the charts. And so if you're using multiple monitors, you can certainly drag this over to your secondary and then have the platform where you execute your trades on your primary. This way, you don't have to keep flip-flopping back in between the tabs itself, okay? And in the top right corner, this also depends on your screen real estate and whether you have the platform in full screen or not, but you can actually make it up to a 2x2 so that you have 4 charts in total, okay? Let's go ahead and get rid of these drawings. Let me pop this chart back down. There we go. Okay. So now that we did some technical analysis, maybe we formulate some sort of bias that we want to go long or buy the dip on Ford. Let's place a stock trade. So we saw what we like on the charts. Now we want to go long on some shares. And I'm going to show you a few different ways on how you can actually do a stock order. Okay. So let me locate this tool right here. So earlier we saw the bid and the ask when we searched for different ticker symbols at the top. And a very easy way to buy stock on the platform is by left clicking on either the bid or the ask. So if we want to go long on some shares, we buy at the ask and sell at the bid. So we buy at the ask, sell at the bid. So if I want to go long the shares, I'm going to left click on where it says 12.84. Let me remove this drawing. And we just want to focus here at the bottom. You probably see an options chain at the top, and you also want to make sure that your trade mode is currently on table. If you see a bell curve or you see anything different, just switch it to table. And right now we're going to disregard the options chain because we're just doing a simple stock order. Okay, but let's kind of dissect what we're looking at here at the bottom. In the bottom left corner, it's going to give us some details on what we're trading. So right here, it tells us that our order is for Ford stock. You're going to see that green buy button because we're going long. But instead of we wanted to sell short, if you click on sell, you would now see it turns red for short. If we left click on buy, it turns back to green, okay? And then you're gonna see the quantity directly to the right of that right now is on 1 share. If you wanted to buy more than 1 share, you can certainly use the arrow to move it up. If you wanted to buy 100 shares, you probably don't want to click this 90 times, right? So you can highlight the number 10 or whatever number you had in there previously, type in 100, hit enter, and now you're actually queuing up an order for 100 shares of Ford stock, okay? And the limit price, or the box in the middle, this is your limit order. So it looks like the midpoint between the bid and the ask is 12.83 at the moment. So this is where you can adjust the limit order. Maybe you want to buy a little bit lower than 12.83. All you have to do is you can manually highlight and type in what you want to do it as, maybe 12.70, hit enter. And now this trade is going to be a limit order for 12.7. If it's just a few pennies, you can certainly use these up and down arrows to the right and the left as well. I just find it easier to, because I kind of know what I want to purchase at. I think it's better to type in what you want to put the limit order in as. Whoops. Okay. Now, we keep looking to the right, you're going to see the order type. So this is a limit order, of course, but if you want to just get in fast, you don't care the exact price that you want to get in the trade as, you can left click on this drop-down menu. I think it might be blocking it off. There we go. You can certainly change it to a market order. So now instead of a price here that you can make adjustments to, it's actually grayed out and just says MKT for market. Okay. But let's switch it back to limit. The next thing you can see to the right is TIF, time in force. By default, all the trades are going to be a day order. So if it doesn't get filled, it'll just be canceled at the end of the day. Or if you left click here, you can change it to GTC, good till canceled, GTD, good till certain dates, or you can do EXT for extended hours. And we're actually going to have to route it later when we're ready to place this trade. We're going to do EXT for extended hours. Okay. Let me go ahead and get rid of these drawings. So just a quick review. Let me clear out this order ticket as well. The first way to place a stock order is clicking on the bid and the ask at the top, or you can also click on the bid and the ask within your watch list right here. And that will take you back to the order ticket that pops up. So left clicking anywhere in the bid and ask, it will bring up that order ticket. Okay. Now, the second way you can do a stock order is if you go to where the trade mode is, you can change it to active or grid mode, and I'll cover both of these as well. So for anyone who's a little bit more advanced, if you click on active, and then let's switch it to the watch list that we just created as well. So over here, we're going to change this to the demo watch list we created. So now you can see the futures, Apple, Ford, NVIDIA. These are all within the active list that we have. And it actually lets us know very nicely here in parentheses that we buy at the ask and sell at the bid. So sometimes this might be easier to use in general if you're on the active trader mode. But same thing, what we're going to do is left click on Ford 12.84 under the ask because we're trying to go long the shares. As soon as we do that, you see this menu pop up and also the ladder of where we buy it at, right? So you can see the order is to buy. The quantity is 1. If you need to make adjustments to the quantity, same thing. You can use the up and down arrow, or you can highlight that number, maybe type in 100, hit enter, and now we're about to buy 100 shares of Ford. Okay. Let me bring out the arrows again. You can change the order type from limit to market, the time in force from extended hours to GTC to a day order. You can make those adjustments right there. Okay. And whenever we're ready to route the order, we just hit send right here. So that's just a brief overview of the active trader tab. Let me show you the grid mode. So if we left click on grid mode, this is how you can trade directly on the chart. So very similar to what we showed before. You see the chart of Ford, or this is Tesla. Let me change it to Ford. There we go. You see the bid and the ask at the bottom. And if you want to buy it, it shows BTO for buy to open, the quantity right here, and the limit price right here. Okay. You have the same futures. You can change it from limit to market. If you want to go short, just left click on where it says BTO, and it would change to STO, sell to open. Okay. So BTO, STO, you can make all those adjustments right here. But let's go ahead and route that stock order just so you can see an example. I'm going to go back up here and left click on the AS 12.84. And then it takes us back to this order ticket. Okay. So let's just, for example, buy 100 shares of Ford. So I typed in 100 here in the quantity. I'm making sure that buy is on so that I'm going long. I'm going to change my time in force to extended hours right here. And then maybe I want to try to get a bargain for this. So maybe I want 12.80 and hit enter. So I replaced the order to 12.80. I changed the time in force to extended hours. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is hit review and send. Once we left click on review and send, whoops. There we go. So once we left click on review and send, this screen is very important. There's a lot of good information here. And one thing that I can let you know is when you're on the review and send screen, this is your chance to double check that this is the intended order you want to route. So a lot of times if the market is moving very fast, we're just trying to get our order in, but more often than not, if we slow down on this screen, double check that we are routing the correct trade in the correct account, it will be better for you more often than not, okay? So just take a look at all the information it's showing us here. We can see the stock buying power, option buying power. These numbers should match what we have at the top here, right here, and right here. Okay, so these numbers should match what we have at the top. And then we also can see that we are buying 100 shares of Ford. You can see the total cost for the 100 shares right here. And you can see the limit order we put, and it's an extended hours trade. Okay. This is the commissions and fees. So we don't charge anything for commissions on stocks and ETFs. So that's why it shows 0 right there. Let me clear out all of these drawings. But let's say I don't want to buy it at 12.8 and I need to make any adjustments to my order, or I just want to clear out the order ticket. I would go back and hit edit order or clear. So again, review and send gives you a chance to double check your order. So you can get rid of it completely by clicking clear, or you can left click on edit order right there. So edit order. So maybe I don't want to buy it at 12.8. Maybe I want to buy it at 12.83. Okay, hit enter. And now I'm going to hit review and send again. Let's see if we can route this trade. It actually got rejected. Let's see. Whoops. Right there. But that brings us a good point. Now that the order got rejected, the thing I want to cover next is if you go over to here, to your activity, remember the 3 main tabs that we use is positions, trade, and activity. So right now, if we left click on activity, let me get rid of that arrow. And then let me bring out this other drawing tool. Right here. So you want to pay attention to all these filters. You can see what is currently working. If you have any pending orders, you can see anything that has already been filled and then canceled, for any orders that you just canceled, and other is any rejected orders. Okay, so that Ford trade that we just tried to put in, it got rejected right here, giving us a reason that extended orders can only be routed between 7:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. Central. So I think I missed it by 4 minutes right there. Okay. Let me go back and show you this. So if you want to take a look at this filter right here for the symbols, you can see all these different activity that we have in here. It looks kind of messy, and maybe we just want to focus on the one that we just did. So I'm going to type in F for the ticker symbol for Ford, hit enter, and now you see that it only shows Ford. So depending on what you're looking for in your activity, you can filter it accordingly. And you can also go back to the time frame to see if you want to go back to activity for 7 days, 14, 30, year to date. You can even do a custom date range to go back years. So if I go back 120 days, you can see all the different trades that we did in Ford so far. Okay. Let me go ahead and clear this out. Let's go back to the positions tab. So what I did so far was I left click on positions right here. And this, if you normally, when you route a trade and it's been filled, it's going to show up in your positions tab. Okay, we didn't get filled on that for trade, but let me show you these other filters that we have here. So if you ever feel like you're missing positions, just double check to make sure that your filters are toggled on properly. If you left click on stocks, left click on options, you can see that now all of these different symbols just popped up. Okay. So these are all the different option contracts in this account. If you're trading futures, you can toggle it on right here. And then the CL just popped up. So an account like this is a great example because maybe you're not trying to look at any of your futures positions. You just want to clean up what you're looking at. So you can toggle everything off but options and just focus on the symbol in reference. Okay. Let me clear this out. And then a little bit to the right here, you're going to see a group by drop-down menu. For anyone here who's trading spreads, I think you might find this order change feature very useful because when you open a trade as a spread, our system is going to group them together as a spread and label it for you. So here's a calendar with a roll. So when you make any adjustments, the order chains, it will keep in track for you. So you don't have to do the math. If you roll it out to another expiration, another strike price, it will keep track for it within the order chains function here. You can even do custom grouping. So maybe you want different legs grouped together for a certain strategy that you put together. Just put it under custom, and then you can group them together that way as well. Or you can do it by symbol. So it's just breaking it down by ticker symbol. Okay. Now we go all the way to the right side to details and configuration. You're going to see cap rec for capital requirement. This is a really useful feature to see how much buying power each one of your positions is taking up. And then you're going to see a CSV button. CSV, once you left click on here, it will export your positions into a spreadsheet that you can load up in a Google Sheet or Excel, and you can reconcile your positions that way as well. Okay. And then you're also going to see a gear icon all the way on the right side. Once we left click on that gear icon, very similar to what we did in the watch list, you're going to see a displayed and not displayed column. So for me, the way I like to look at my positions is having what we have here. Cost, how much it cost me to get in that position. Net liquidity, how much that position is currently worth. Trade price is the cost basis per share per contract. Mark is how much that position is worth by contract right now. P&L open is how much I'm up or down since I established the trade. P&L day is just how much it changed from today to yesterday. And then the P&L open changes the percentage that I'm up. Okay. But if you wanted to add anything else, just locate it in a not display column. Maybe we want to see some delta. Maybe you get some data in there. You can even add in some, maybe an earnings date. Okay. So just left click on these 6 icons. It'll bring it over to the not displayed, or you can hold and drag it over depending on where you want it. And then same thing, you can move this up or down depending on where you want to see it within your positions tab. Okay. Once you're done putting in all the customizations that you want, just left click on OK in the bottom left corner. So far, just to highlight, we added delta, earnings date, and data. Let me move data above earnings date right there. I'm gonna hit OK. So now you can see all those columns that we just added is right here. We got the delta, we have data, and these are some companies that's reporting earnings soon. So depending on how many filters you want, you can certainly add it into your positions tab. And the way we did that again is we just went to this settings icon and made those adjustments. Okay, I'm going to remove them for now. And then hit OK. Let me get rid of this drawing. Okay, so let's say we want to close out any trades. There's a couple ways to do this. Okay, so for example, I know the market is closed right now, but we'll just do it as an example. Let's say for a lift, we have a 12.5 put and a 12 put for September 15th. If I want to close any one of these, all I have to do is right click on that contract and then do close position like that. And it takes us to the closing screen right here. Okay. So if I can direct your attention to the bottom left again, this is the order details. This doesn't mean that it's Bitcoin. BTC stands for buy to close. So when you open a position, you open it this was a short trade, so it was a sell to open, but now when we're closing it, it's a buy to close. So we are buying to close 1 August 11, 3 days to expiration, the 12.5 puts. And same thing, you can make adjustments to the limit order that you want to do, or you can just do a market order if you left click on this menu again and change it to a market order. Okay, well, let me go ahead and clear this out. Now, you probably want to know how to do stop losses in our system as well. So you probably saw it when we left click on this limit order, market order, you see stop market and stop limit as well. If I left click on stop limit, for example, you will get a trigger price for stop price. And then once that stop triggers, you also have the limit order that you want to sell it at. Okay, so maybe I want to stop out of this trade at 1.50. And maybe to account for any slippage, once it reaches 1.50, I want to sell it at 1.48. Okay, and then I just hit review and send that way. If you want to do a stop market order, we're going to change it from stop limit to stop market. And now you see that there is no limit price. It just says MKT, and we only have that trigger price that we can put at 1.50. So that's just a quick way where you can do a stop loss order. Okay, let me clear out the order ticket. Again, to clear out the order ticket, just hit on this red eraser, and it will get rid of that order ticket. Okay. Let's go back to the positions tab here, because I want to show you one more feature. So once we click on positions, let's say we want to close out this 12 put here. I want to show you a bracket order. So this is a OCO, one cancels the other. This way you can submit both a profit target and a stop loss at once. So you can kind of set it and forget it. For anyone that's working, this is a really useful feature. You can put in where you want to take your profit at, maybe at 50%. And then you can also put in a stop loss area as well, directly below that. Okay. And if the profit target reaches, your stop loss automatically get canceled. And then if your stop loss reaches, your profit target gets taken out. So it's an OCO order. And this bracket feature you can use on stocks, you can use on options, you can use on spreads, and you can certainly use it on futures as well. Okay, so it's a really useful tool that we have within the tastytrade platform. For now, let's just hit clear. Okay. So let's say we open and close a position hypothetically, and we want to reconcile how much we made or lost. The way we do that is you can certainly go back to activity tab, or you can go to the history tab, which is located right here. So the history tab, if I left click on it, it'll take us here. This is a great way to reconcile what you made or lost from a certain trade, because it also shows you your commissions and fees that you paid as well. And it's good to use the history tab in conjunction with activity. What I like to do is I locate the time that I place the order and I go back to history. It would just help me narrow down which transaction is which. So for example, let's use Ford. So I'm going to locate the filter at the top here, very similar to activity. You can type in Ford. And we probably don't see anything because we didn't place any trades for Ford today. So now we're going to go back to the date filter and have a look back period of maybe 30 days. How about 60 days? Maybe for this account right here. There we go. Let me clear out these arrows. So it looks like on June 12th, this account bought 100 shares of Ford at 15.22. So once I left click on this transaction, you can see right here, it shows us the fees and how much it costed us. So we paid 8 cents to get the order routed, and then it cost us 15.22. When the order was closed, we sold it at 15.17 right here. Okay. So once we left click on both of these transactions, both the buy and the close, you can see the system will automatically do the math for you. So in total, we lost 4.64 on this trade. And then we paid about 19 or 20 cents in fees. Okay. So history tab is really useful. You don't have to pull out a calculator and do the math yourself. The system would do it for you. If you know which transaction is which, just left click on it and it will locate above the word amount how much you made or lost on that trade. Okay. Let me clear this out. And let me bring back the arrow. You also see a CSV button here. If you want to export your transactions just to reconcile on a spreadsheet instead, if you click CSV, same thing, it's going to export it to a spreadsheet for Excel or for Google Sheets, okay? Another cool feature I want to show you in the history tab is right here. Right now we're on transactions, it's highlighted in blue, but if you left click on where it says year to date, this is a really cool feature. This will break down how you've been performing by ticker symbol. So you can see if you're doing well, you're doing bad, and it will also show you commission and fees on the right side here as well. So maybe /CL, the oil futures, maybe we don't want to trade that, or maybe we want to make our money back, right? Because we're down 1100 here. But when you click on year to date, it would show your performance by ticker symbol. Let me clear this out. All right, now let's do something a little bit more fun. Let's just simulate an options trade. Unfortunately, since the market's closed, I can't route the order for you, but I can at least show you how to place that trade, okay? So again, the three main tabs we use on the platform is positions, trade, and activity. So if we want to open an options position, we're first going to navigate to the trade tab. I'm going to left click on trade. Let me just collapse this expiration and clear out this. So let's kind of dissect what we're looking at. We see all the different expiration cycles. Let me change the ticker symbol back to Ford. So I'm going to left click Ford on my watch list. And now we see the options chain and expiration cycles for Ford. So in the middle here, you're going to see the days to expiration. And then you see the expiration dates right here as well. On the right side, you're going to see the implied volatility and also the expected move for that specific expiration cycle. Okay. So in the middle, days to expiration, the date on the left, on the right side is the implied volatility and expected move. Let me get rid of these drawings. Now, once you determine which expiration cycle you want to trade, just left click on it and it will expand the options chain and look at all the strikes. So for example, maybe I want to go 10 days out for the August 18th. I'm going to left click on this line. Again, arrow just so you can see. You can left click anywhere on this line and it will expand the August 18th expirations. Boom, there it is. So let's see what we're looking at here. So the strikes are in the middle, of course. You're going to see the bid and the ask. Let me get the arrows back out. So strikes right here. You can see the premiums of the contracts by the bid and the ask here. And then anything that has a little circle to the left of the header, for example, you see this little circle to the left of delta, volume, open interest. When it has a little circle, that means that you can customize it. So maybe you don't want to see the delta. If you left click on it, we get rid of these arrows so you can see. But left click on delta, it expands this menu. So maybe I want to see the implied volatility. Instead of volume, maybe I want to see the maybe theta, okay? And then instead of open interest, maybe I just want to see the exact volume, just to take a look at the liquidity there. So all of this is customizable depending on what you're looking for. If you only see 2 or 1 columns here, again, it could be your screen real estate. So you can make it full screen, or you can drag your application, make it wider, and then you should be able to get a little bit more columns in there. Unfortunately, you can't change the bid and ask because you need to know exactly how much your contract is worth, okay? But let me show you an example of how you can queue up. Let's say we like Ford, instead of buying the shares, we want to go long some calls. So let me scroll down a little bit. Let me get all my arrows again. So determining a strike price, that's completely discretionary, but we do have some tools here that will help you, okay? You're going to see these dashed lines. This represents standard deviation. So anything within the first section of this dashed line is 1 standard deviation. And then the second blue line represents the second standard deviation. And then this orange bar that you see here is just the expected move. And then it might be a little bit small here, but this says in the money with an arrow pointing down. And then this says in the money with an arrow pointing up. So anything above this arrow or this orange line here are calls that are in the money. And then anything below this orange line on the put side are strikes that are in the money for the puts, okay? Let me clear this out. So let's say Ford is trading at 12.88. I think by August 18 it's going to move higher. So I want to purchase the $13 calls. So remember, we buy at the ask, we sell at the bid. So if I'm trying to buy long calls on Ford, I'm going to left click on the 0.21 right here. So once I left click on that 0.21, it's going to bring up that order ticket at the bottom. And then if you take a look at the contract details at the bottom right here, we are BTO, buying to open 1 August 18th, 10 days of expiration, $13 calls. And right now it looks like the midpoint is at 0.21. But you're also going to see some other relevant information here. So let me highlight this section here. We certainly have a platform glossary in our help center. So maybe Christian or Anthony can drop a link in the chat about the glossary to let you know which each one of these means. POP is probability of profit. EXT is the extrinsic value, probability of making 50%. And then you can also see the beta weighted delta, theta, delta. The max profit is infinity because Ford can go up as high as it wants. And the max loss is $21, basically the premiums that we paid for it. Okay. BP effect, this shows how much your option buying power will reduce by once this order is routed. Okay. Let me clear this out. We also have all these buttons at the bottom here. So if the $13 strike is not what we wanted, we can move it up or down. So maybe instead of 13, I want to go with an in the money strike. I'll click up. This would change it to 12.5. But if I want to move a little bit further out the money for it to be cheaper, I can click the down arrow and it will bring that strike price down. Okay. Quantity, you can change the quantity here as well. So you can right click to increase the quantity. And now I have it at 10. But let's say you're trying to do a 100 lot, right? You probably don't want to click this 90 times to get it to 100. The way you can adjust the quantity manually is we're going to double click in the bottom left corner right here. Once we double click on it, you'll see a highlight. And this number 22 for the contracts, we're going to highlight it, erase it, change it to 100. And now we are trying to buy 100 contracts at a 13.5 calls. Okay. That's just an example. Let me bring it back down to 1. Okay. So let's just route this order as an example. 1 contract, a 0.21. We're going to hit review and send. It says your order will begin working during the next session because the market is closed. Let's hit send order. And now that the order is working, we can check on the status by navigating back to activity. So once I left click on activity, let me just clean this up a little bit. You will see the order status here as working right here. Okay. Now, if you want to replace the order, you're trying to get filled a little bit faster, we're going to right click on the working order. Anywhere on this line that says the pending, you can right click. It's going to give you a menu where you can either cancel it or replace it, place a similar order or an opposite order. So let's just say we want to replace it. Left click on replace order. It brings us back to the trade screen. And maybe we want to make adjustments to the price, be a little bit more aggressive at 0.25, hit review and send. We're going to double check on the review and send screen and hit send order. Okay, so you've got 2 notifications. Let's go back to activity. And you will see that 1 order was canceled, the 0.21 was canceled, and we replaced it with a 0.25 right there. Okay, and let's just say you just change your mind, you don't want to place the order at all. You're going to right click anywhere on this line that says working and hit cancel order. Okay. Let's just do one more option example. So that was just going long calls. Let's say you wanted to do a spread. Let's go back to the options chain right here. Let me clear out this arrow. So again, we buy at the ask, sell at the bid. So let's say I want to do a vertical call spread. I want to buy the 13 calls and I want to sell the 13.5 against it. So I'm now going to left click on the 0.06 under the bid to sell it. Okay. Now, if I can direct your attention to the bottom left, let's take a look at the details. One is a buy to open order and one is a sell to open order. So we're buying the 13 calls at 21 cents. We're selling the 13.5 against it for 6 cents to collect the premium. So the net debit amount in the middle you see here is 0.15. Okay. And then same thing, you can just hit review and send. This is the order I want to place. And then I'm paying $2 in commissions and then about 27 cents to get this order routed. I'm going to hit send order. And this is now working in my activity. So a vertical call spread working. Okay. Let me just go ahead and cancel this here. The next thing I want to cover very quickly before the time is up here, let's go back to the trade tab. We have other trade modes here. So for anyone that's more of a visual learner, if you don't want to see this table, you can click on curve. Let me draw this for you. Curve. And this is when the right side panel will come back into play. Right here. So we're going to pop out the right side panel again. So it's a little bit, let me just actually go back to position and see what we have. We have Boeing. Okay. BA. So once you're in the curve mode, let me get rid of these drawings. You immediately want to go ahead and click on analysis right here. When you click on analysis, you will see the profit and loss zones for this spread that we have on Boeing right here. And you can see what you're going to make at expiration or at a certain strike price when the underlying reaches there. Okay, we can go into a whole separate video on analysis mode alone. And we actually have a tutorial within our help center. So maybe our team can put a link in the chat for an overview of how to use the analysis mode. It's a really cool feature that we have. Okay. It looks like we have just a few minutes left. Do you guys have any questions, any specific features you want me to cover? We do have quote alerts as well. It's found down here. But anything specific that you want us to cover? Let me take a look at the chat here. Let's see. So that's a great question, Dave. You can set alerts on an underlying, but you can't put an alert on the option premium itself. So you can, what you can do is maybe look at the delta of your options and then set a quote alert at a certain price threshold. And as you can even do multiple alerts on the same underlying. So as it's crossing a certain price level, you get the notifications on your platform, you get the notifications on your phone. So it just gives you an update that you need to open up your trading platform and then make any adjustments to your trade if necessary. Okay. Let's see. Can I show how to only place winning trades? Well, I wish I could, right? I need that same advice too. Sean, yes, there will be a recording. So this session is recorded, and after the video is produced, it's going to be on our tastytrade channel. Okay. Is there a way to view just the call side or put side in table view? Unfortunately, you have to look at both of them. When we're in table mode and we expand the expiration cycle, it will show you both of them. But you can remove some of these columns or make your platform a little more narrow so that there's just all this information thrown at you. But yeah, calls will always be on the left side, puts will be on the right side, if that kind of helps you organize. Okay, we can also do a ratio spread very quickly here. Let's see. So let's say we want to buy a 240 call on Boeing, and then we're going to sell a 245 call. Okay. If you were to do a ratio spread, what you don't want to do is use the quantity buttons here, because if you change the quantity, it's going to update both of the contracts. So if I left click here, you can now see in the bottom left corner that now both of these change to 5 contracts, but that's probably not what I want to do. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to change this one to the 240 call. I'm going to double click on it so that only this leg is selected. I'm going to change it down to 1. And then I'm going to adjust the 245 calls as well. But before I do that, I have to double click the 240s again just to unselect it. And then now I can change this 245 maybe to 2 contracts. So I'm buying one of the 240 calls and selling 2 of the 245s against it. And then that's how you can do a ratio spread. Okay. And you probably see these 2 other boxes down here. This is because our order ticket can support up to 4 legs. So you can certainly do a butterfly, iron condor, right here. Okay, so our order taking can do up to 4 legs. Let me clear out these drawings. Yeah, it looks like that's all the questions that we have. So again, thank you everyone for joining today. We appreciate you registering for it. I hope this was informative and it will give you a jump start on navigating the platform. If you ever have questions about a specific feature or need additional help using the application, just feel free to give us a call or trade desk team a call. Any one of us can walk you through the platform itself and do a one-on-one. So no worries at all. Just give us a call or email us. We can give any features that you're looking for and give you some more insight on it, okay? But thanks again. I hope you enjoyed this and enjoy the rest of your night, okay?